What is the worst thing you've ever seen or heard in a game of truth or dare? NSFW. Maybe the best thing was my friends were playing this in high school and I, being a nerd at the time, was sitting about 10 feet away playing StarCraft. They dared this one hot redhead to put my head under her shirt and rub her tits all over my face. She obliged. I had mental masturbatory material for the next 2 years. Edit, since I left out a very important detail. She had no bra under her sweatshirt. It was just her perfect C-cup boobies slapping my virgin face. Woohoo, my first gold, and all because of StarCraft and boobies. Thank you, kind stranger. A coworker confessed to masturbating in the back room of our grocery store with a cucumber that he hollowed out and microwaved. Actually, this one happened to me once too, but it was several girls who decided to talk about all the guys they liked. While all the other guys had at least one girl who liked them, I didn't have any girls who had a crush on me. It was a depressing party, and I was pretty sad for at least a few days after that. I once watched a girl take on a dare to masturbate with a cheese stick. Pretty sure she won that game. What kind of corn do you watch? The gay kind. That's how he came out to us. There stood an ancient garden gnome in the garden. Throughout the year, whenever any of us were too lazy to trek to the distant toilet, we would take a leak on the gnome instead. Over several months of almost daily showers, plus more than a few unplanned vomiting incidents, the poor ornament had become unnaturally discolored. A guest who was unaware of this situation came to visit. He had to lick the piss gnome. Edit, judging by my inbox, a lot of garden ornaments are dealt the unfortunate hand of becoming piss gnomes. I've half a mind to set up an awareness campaign or something. Sadly, I do not have the pleasure of knowing any of you. Thank you for the gold though. Dare, I actually did this one. I got naked and hitchhiked in front of the house. Somebody actually stopped and I thought it would be funny if I got in and the guy just drove me a block or two, just to give my housemates a scare. He didn't stop. I ended up jumping out at a stoplight. Edit, for all y'all asking, I am a dude. I really don't think the dude ever had any ill intent, he was a bit of a space case. Maybe the best thing was my friends were playing this in high school and I, being a nerd at the time, was sitting about 10 feet away playing StarCraft. They dared this one hot redhead to put my head under her shirt and rub her tits all over my face. She obliged. I had mental masturbatory material for the next 2 years. Edit, since I left out a very important detail. She had no bra under her sweatshirt. It was just her perfect C-cup boobies slapping my virgin face. One guy admitted that he routinely had sex with a vacuum cleaner. Edit, the amount of PMs I have gotten asking if it was X person is astonishing. I cannot believe the number of people out there who have gotten their rocks off with vacuum cleaners, only to brag to other individuals about it, only for those people to contact me in order to ask me if we know the same person. Who did you lose your virginity to? My uncle. Edit, it's okay though guys, he was her stepdad's brother and they got married at 16, while he was 30. A kid I went to school with was dared to tie a piece of twine to his pecker and the other end to a bike tire, off the rim, and run around an open field with it. So he tied both ends securely and started running. After a lap, one of the girls ran up to him and stomped on the tire. I was convinced he has just pulled his D off. Fortunately, it was only bruised. He came close though. I took a shit off a lifeguard tower one night and the next night took a shit in the ocean. My friends are not very creative with their dares. Got my first blowjob in 10th grade. Pretty sure it was her first time giving one also, man did it suck. Also my friend listened the whole time through the door. Isn't she supposed to suck? Group dare that I swore to take to the grave. Prob a bit late to the party, but when I was a teenager I lived in the country in a very small, rural town. My girlfriends and I decided to play some truth or dare on the weekend during a slumber party, and for big dares we generally like to make it a group thing for support, I guess. Well, someone had the bright idea to go ride our friend's horses bareback, but naked in the moonlight, 'cause we're teenage girls and that's like so beautiful. Well, if you've never ridden a horse without tack, that is a mission in itself. Doing it naked in the middle of the night is like nightmare mode on Doom. However, we do it, and stay on the horses for a grand total of 5 minutes, if that. We call it a night after that and go back to our house to sleep. The next morning we're woken up by my friend's father asking WTF did we do to his horses last night. I instantly start freaking out thinking we hurt them accidentally. Turns out there was a big bloody spot on one of the horses' back, and I knew exactly whose it was. I never admitted it to anyone. TLDR, I accidentally had my period on a horse's back. My friends and I all took consecutive shits in a toilet without flushing. There were about 5 full shits in there. Then we dared this dude to stick his arm up to his elbow in it. He did it no problem and then chased us across the house with his shit arm. My 5th grade birthday party sleepover. 6 boys. One of the guys was dared to put peanut butter on his D and let my dog lick it off. He did it, but while licked, my dog decided to take a little nibble right on the tip of his head. The kid freaked out and ran to the bathroom crying. We all stood outside the door asking if my dog bit his D off. Turns out he just bit the tip of the head enough to draw a little blood. A couple years later, he showed us the tiny scar, which he now tells any girls that ask it was from his D getting caught in his zipper. I was dared to spend the rest of the game topless. Everyone made fun of my boobs. Sad face. Girl in high school equestrian club licked a horse D from tip to base and back. The next person had to take a bite of a horse turd. So yeah. I pulled one of the biggest dish-a-bag moves while drunk, still no excuse, and asked a girl who I knew cheated on her BF if she's ever cheated in front of him. She admitted to it and they broke up later that night. I still cringe and get chills down my spine whenever I think of that night. You all need to learn of a game called Honesty Box. It was invented by my friend's roommate. It's faster and better than regular truth or dare cause you don't have to think on the spot. Before the game starts, people write down questions, dares, suggestions, anything on slips of paper. We've had ones involved swapping clothes, taking off clothes, putting makeup on someone blindfolded, pretty much anything. The best ideas come if you put out the slips early in the night and give people time to fill them out as you play other games. To play, one person draws a slip and reads it. They then choose another person who has to do the card too. The only rule is, don't be lame. If you draw one and won't do it, you must redraw and do that one. Last time I played this, I ended up shirtless wearing a skirt doing karaoke to let it go. Another time some guy ended up in his boxers and drew that the person to his left had to kiss his crotch. Edit, my friend told me to credit this to Cold&25 as developed by their dorm/apartment. College party, about 60% gay men, 10% straight men, and 30% women. Big group truth or dare. One of the girls dares all of the guys to stick their D in a dirty martini for 15 seconds. It was a gay party, after all, shut up. None of the gay guys would do it, but one of the straight brothers did it to try and impress the attractive girl. Worked up a chub, stuck it in a drink, immediately started crying because the vodka and olive juice got in his urethra. He lasted the 15 seconds, went to the bathroom in tears with half of the drink spoiled all over his shorts, oh no, party foul, and tried to wash out his D. Sadly, water just pushed the vodka and olive juice further into his D, and he cried more. He came out of the bathroom a while later. The girl was suitably impressed. He got a round of drunken applesauce. Unfortunately for him, she was a lesbian, so the impressiveness was nigh worthless. I'm pretty sure one of the other guys drank the remainder of the drink, so it wasn't a complete waste. A girl put a guy's penis in her mouth in front of everyone. No blowjob or anything, just put it in her mouth for about 3 seconds. Then we went on with the game. Of course, with us all being horny teenagers, we all made the same request with her and the other girls. She was the only one who would do it though. A few other girls said they would. But once Mr. Floppy was being shoved towards their faces, they turned away and chickened out. Bit late to the party, but I was in this one dive bar. The latest bar open in my small town, that ends up accumulating the dregs of the revelers and alcoholics who are desperate not to go home and end the party. Anyway, a friend and I are sat quietly in the corner drinking ourselves to quiet oblivion, and in bursts a rowdy group of students. I guess rugby players, due to what happened next. Anyway, they're taking turns to dare each other to do stupid shit, downing drinks, burning their eyebrows, etc. And the stakes are rising. Eventually one of them grabs an empty glass, heads to the bathrooms, and fills it from one of the faulty, backed up urinals. Hands it to his mate. Here mate, down this. He does. A pint of stale piss and urinal chemicals. Kid spent rest of night throwing up on the street outside. Bar was closed down a few weeks later, semi-related. Truth or dare while camping. Gathered around a fire, dares escalating, friend gets dared to cock-slap female friend. And by the light of the campfire, with an audience of about 8, the mushroom slappeth. And it was good. Possibly too late to be seen, but I have a story. I was at a party where a game of truth or dare devolved into a foursome in the kitchen, 1 guy, 3 girls. It started when one girl was dared to take off another's bra with her teeth. It stayed off and everyone was mostly or totally naked within 10 minutes. When I was stationed on Germany, US Army, we would play truth or dare all the time while drinking. Well, one night, about 3 bottles of tequila in. One of my friends gets asked the question and he says dare. The dare was to sneak into the neighboring barracks, the MP barracks, and put a plastic bag full of shit in the oven and put it on the lowest temp it would go, the oven on the 3rd floor. So, without blinking an eye, Buddy goes to the latrine, comes out with a Ziploc bag full of shit and heads off to the MP barracks. We had one person tail him to make sure he did it. They came back about 10 minutes later, cracking up laughing. Next round came and the original dare giver chose dare. He was dared to go knock on every door from the 3rd floor down at the MP barracks, but naked. He went off to the barracks and stripped outside and climbed up the fire escape. He came running out the front door, hauling literal ass back to our barracks. He came in, still naked, and relayed the events. He got up to the 3rd floor and said the stench was overwhelming. He knocked on every door and went down to the 2nd floor where he came face to face with 2 females. He bolted past them, still knocking. They were less shocked by his nakedness than by the odor permeating the hallways. He made it out the front door while about 6 MPs were coming down the hallway after him. He managed to close the door and block it with a trash can to slow them down. That Monday, the MPs wanted info on the crime and came knocking at our barracks trying to ID the perp. Luckily, there were no blue falcons in our house, so they never found the phantom shitter. Girl told us when she was 15 she lost her virginity to her dog, a German Shepherd, and from then on whenever she was alone she would let it mount her. It was gross, no one wanted to play after that. A group of attractive girls and guys were in a hot tub, including myself. Eventually, as the night progressed, the game of truth and dare became more and more sual. The game reached its peak when one of the guys held a D-sized spa thermometer in the air. He looked at the girl who had just picked air and said, "Pick a hole and stick it." Without skipping a beat, she grabbed the thermometer. From the corner of the hot tub she lifted both of her legs on the sides of the spa and proceeded to lift herself out of the water in a split-like fashion. Then the thermometer was thrusted up her vagina in clear view of everyone. We all thought she was just gonna lick it a bit or something. No one expected her to do that. She was clearly satisfied with the reaction she got out of everyone. There was this ultra-religious family that lived down the street from me, and the kids were kept in the dark about certain things, especially when it came to asking about anything Sewell. We were about 12-13s, and one of the sons, Jason, was always asking us about girls and a lot of Sewell things. He told us about how he dreamed of seeing a naked girl, but parental locks on computers and being in an overly religious house made that next to impossible. His eventual solution, play a game of truth or dare with a few kids on the street, and dare his 15-year-old sister to show him her bits. He did, and she said sure, and did it. We left pretty soon after that in shock. It was shortly after that we found out that Jason not only wanted to see a girl naked for once, but that he also had a crush on his sister. We kind of avoided Jason after that until he moved about 6 months later. I played once where truth or dare turned into let's see how far everyone will go Sully. Highlights: 1. Teabagging. 2. Topless jumping jacks, by a girl. 3. Naked ding dong ditch, the dude tripped, and fortunately turned just in time to only scrape up his side. 4. Blowjob. 5. Motorboating. It was a good night for 16-year-old me.